It's what your parents give you. And as many young parents are here, it's what you can give your child, actually. And many people come back and tell me in some of the children's classes that we have online and in Dubai, oh, my child doesn't do this. I say, they follow what you do. So you set an example. So I think I got it from my parents, definitely. And then I went into a household after marriage which was equally pious. So it helped in my journey in Krishna consciousness.
That's amazing. So, Prabhuji, tell us that one incidence which connected you to Krishna consciousness. Yes, of course, your father would read Prabhupada books, but what is that one thing, like you said, say that, okay, this is what actually connected me to Krishna?
Yeah.
If you can remember something.
We got connected to a very pious family in Dubai, and we were leading a normal life of karmi.
Oh, sorry, if I can just stop you there. Well, how would you explain the normal life of a Karmi? Like, because maybe just like work and maybe if you can elaborate a little more.
It was just all about work, thinking about money, trying to earn as much money as possible, accumulating money. That's what most of the people do in this material world. And they lose a sense of purpose of life. So at that time we got connected to His Grace Mahamani Krishna Das and his wife Shanti Priya Krishna Dasi, Paripurna Radha Devi Dasi, and they were just like a very old pious family, and they preached Krishna consciousness to us. And naturally, as youngsters, we were skeptical about getting into spirituality. Then, at the end of the discussion, Mahamani Krishna Das, His Grace, was very, very intelligent. He just asked me a couple of questions, and he said, for these questions, you should tell me just yes or no. Well, thanks to the samskars given by my parents, and my grandfather, as I mentioned, we were not in the habit of being argumentative with elders. So I said, yes, uncle. So then he asked me just one question. Being a Hindu, are you interested in learning Bhagavad Gita? I just said yes, because that was his instruction. Yes or no, no in between. And then he asked us the second question. He said, are you interested in Sankirtan? I said yes, because we have had earlier experience of participating in Sankirtans, and so I said yes. Then to experience these two things, will you come on Friday for the program? He said, just tell me yes or no. I said yes. So that was the done deal for us. Ever since, we just stayed there. And in the early days, it was novelty. Fortunately for us, they said that there is a American, no, actually it was a UK Swami who is coming, UK national, who is coming and he will speak on Bhagavad Gita. So that was novelty. So, a person from London coming and speaking on Bhagavad Gita to us. So that was the novelty part. And then, of course, we got into the excellent presentation of Sanatana Dharma by Srila Prabhupada. So I think that was the defining moment for us. And we remain eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada for that.
I assume it should be same for you also?
Yeah, absolutely. My first connect with ISKCON was in 1985 when I had gone to Mumbai to visit my sister. So, ISKCON is very famous for food. So people generally love to eat good samosas, good pav bhajis. So that's, so she said, you know what, I'm going to take you to the ISKCON temple because you eat good samosas and pav bhaji. I said, okay, let me go. And this is 19 years. young, right, at that time, very impressionable teenager. And we went during the Sandhya Aarti time. And in that Sandhya Aarti, I couldn't take my eyes off the deities and off Srila Prabhupada. And then I looked around and I saw these devotees, dancing in ecstasy during the Aarti. And then I said, one day I should be part of this movement, And that was a desire that I had in the Juhu temple. And Krishna made it happen, Prabhupada made it happen, So attractive looking at Prabhupada's murti over there. If any of you has gone to the Juhu temple, the deities are so beautiful. And then there's Prabhupada's murti. And then, of course, 88, we went for the first program with my parents-in-law after our wedding. We had gone to one of the programs in the Jai Mahal extension. At that time, the Hill Temple was not up. So we went for a program there. And then after that, they were following up with us, but it never clicked. But where it actually clicked was in Dubai.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's
So,
nice.
where we got connected to devotees, I would say. The desire started, I would say, for me, the sowing of the seed happened in 1985 in Radha Ras Bihari.
In June.
Yeah, in June.
Wow, that was amazing. And when you say Dubai, when you speak of Dubai, all of us know UAE is a Muslim country, and Dubai is a Muslim-dominated place. And now there must be some temples, but earlier, in 1980s, when you speak, there weren't any temples, neither were the temples allowed. So how did you actually get to know that these are the devotees, and how we believe that, yes, we look at the beautiful form of Shri Radha and Krishna, and we praise and we sing the glories of the form of Krishna. So how did you actually get in touch with devotees there and create a revolution, which we are going to speak very soon? So how did you meet the devotees?
So, Dubai has two temples, the Srinachi Mandir, which is called the Haveli, and the Shiva Mandir, because it's predominantly got a huge Indian community and Hindu community over there in Dubai. So, children's classes were happening in the temple, but we never connected with that. We had a friend, a childhood friend of Prabhu, who came to visit us, and he got us connected to Mahamani Prabhu and his son Sri Vallabh Prabhu. And then Jugal Prabhu mentioned, so he said, don't be like passengers in a train who make friends in the train. Like many a times when we travel, we make friends. And then when we get off the station, we forget about them. So he said, don't be passengers like that. Just
that's the
continue.
takeaway. That's the takeaway. Don't
absolutely.
be passengers, be lifelong friends.
So that was an interesting story also, where a childhood friend came, and he was just living opposite us in Mumbai, and we were friends for long. And then he was also very intelligent in preaching, because when you're preached to by your peers, it's never convincing, or you don't listen to them. Yeah. So he came home, and he was. I had got everything ready from the material perspective, that he's coming for dinner after a long time. So got everything ready with devotee clothes. I can't even speak about that. But then everything was ready in top class condition. And then when he came, I saw him wearing a tilak and having a bead bags in hand. I just, held him and said, "What's wrong with you, man?" Something went wrong with your fingers. Then, of course, we invited him in, and then he was preaching to us. Naturally, not too much effect. And then he said, "Okay, you are moved into a new home in Sharjah. So let's go to Dubai. I want you to see some pictures. And we'll buy some pictures. Do you have a problem with Krishna's pictures?" I said, "No, absolutely no problem. Krishna is so beautiful." So that's how our journey started. So he didn't preach to us. He took us to Mahamani Krishna Das's house, who preached to us, and we were very respectful because of our samskars, as I repeat. And thanks to that, we got to this joyful, blissful Krishna consciousness.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing.
So, how did you start reading Bhagavad Gita, and what inspired you to read it, and more, and then come to reach it?
Well, as I said, it was all starting with the novelty of guru slokas by going to classes. And I would think that the one thing which really made us read Bhagavad Gita continuously is the presentation of Srila Prabhupada. And I couldn't find any flaw. His purports were simply flawless, and appealing to that rational sense that we always wanted to touch a chord with. So he was full of rationale, full of logic, and very simple explanations in his purpose of the Sanatana Dharma.
For me, I think I've got this habit of memorizing verses, and memorizing verses is something which comes a little easily. And I started memorizing verses, but then I said, if I don't know the meaning of what I'm speaking, I'm learning, then it's just like a parrot, learning to just chant. But it started that way, and then I got involved in Krishna in children's classes. So when you do children's classes, you have to study to speak to the kids, because the kids ask a lot of questions. And over there, most of our kids used to be from, coming in from international schools. So there you're taught to, basically the idea is teach them that there is no God, because they don't like to touch on religion or spirituality.
That's today's days problem also.
Yeah.
They in the name of secularism, probably God does not exist.
Yeah.
So that is what they are taught, unfortunately. But I think devotees like you, they call the difference. Yes, Radhini,
Yeah.
please
So in schools, because I studied in a convent in Bangalore, Bishop Cotton, and what happens is typically they take you through a different route, and there is no, there is a Sunday class which happens, and which in the school they ask you to go in for the morning prayers in the chapel, right? So, we've seen that, but in Dubai, because we can't have religious studies as part, or the moral science classes that you have, what does it teach you? Don't do bad, don't do this, don't do that. It's very basic. But when we start teaching Bhagavad Gita to children, I realized that there are so many flaws that I have, which I need to work on. And that made me read more and more. And it's not just reading Bhagavad Gita, it's to see how I can transform myself, how I can work myself, And I think that is the most important thing, transformation. Like all of us, when we read Bhagavad Gita, it's not just to memorize verses, but it is to see how you get transformed in the process. So that's how I got addicted, and addicted to Bhagavad Gita in a very big way. And Srila Prabhupada makes it so easy. Every purport is so beautiful that, it makes it simple. Even the most complicated verse where he's talking about material nature, he makes it so simple. Like the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is a little difficult. When you talk of the field and the knower of the field, and the Prabhupada's purports is so simple that you're able to connect. And then also this whole thing of connecting slokas. So if I'm speaking on
and try to understand the Bhagavad Gita in a structured manner, that's the way to go.
Absolutely. So, next question is going to be a very interesting question, and we would like to know, in fact, the audience would like to know, how did you connect with the sheikhs of Dubai?
Yeah.
And how did you not only connect with them, but also created a platform for them to come and sit with you and hear about Bhagavad Gita?
that's a very interesting question, but I would give the credit to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has predicted that every town and village in the world will see Krishna consciousness. So, if that is going to happen, then we all need to be instruments in that process of giving Krishna consciousness to everyone.
So, sorry, did you hear that right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that each and every soul will read Bhagavad Gita?
In each and every village in the world, Krishna's holy names will be chanted.
Wow. That's a very encouraging statement by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and today.
Yes, apparently in the world where the Sanatana Dharma is supposed to be in trouble, this prediction that the Lord Himself will make sure that every town and village spirituality will spread is a very, very encouraging thing. So having said that, so we just kept on preaching to people, and one thing led to the other. And there were some highly placed people in the government of Dubai. And then we went and expressed to her, Dr. Nishi Singh, that we are going to plan a program like this under the name of Awakening the Soul. And she was kind enough to take us to the office of one of the offices of the Culture Minister of UAE, Culture and Tolerance Minister of UAE. And she said that she will speak to the minister and see how we can help you. So then we put up this program, and we were very fortunate to get the patronage of Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan, who is the Tolerance and Culture Minister. We were also helped by the situation because 2019 was declared as the Tolerance Year in UAE. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we were the first to do the first program in the Tolerance Year.
Wow. That calls for a big round of applause.
It was on the 4th of January 2019 where we did this program. And since this program came under the patronage of the Tolerance and Culture Minister, naturally we got a lot of local people also there. And the police chief had come to attend the program. So naturally a few locals also had come. And since the locals had come, then we also had participation from the Bori Muslim community head in Dubai. He came, and we had 4 sannyasis, and we had advertised to all the devotees who are coming that they should be in full suits.
Wow.
So we were like undercover agents of Srila Prabhupada. And only the 4 sannyasis came in their robes. And really, believe me, it had an electrifying effect on the audience. The head of the Bori community, who is a dear friend of mine, he was waiting there. I said, "Bhai Sahab, you are not gone for your dinner yet." "No, I will eat only with the Swamis." His name is Mustafa. He is the head of the Bori community in UAE. A very wealthy gentleman. And that's how the connection started. And then Kishori will tell you how we got connected to the Lebanese Muslim community.
Wow. That's news for us. We also didn't know this. Please tell us, Motherji.
So there is, there is a place where they have these quirky stores. So there is a place called Cave, K-A-V-E, and that store, it's more like a warehouse basically. And there were 2 sisters there, Raina and Zaina. And I just went there to, to look around the store and to see, basically not to Actually, the first time we went, I didn't want to just talk spirituality to them, but then I said we should find a place where we can actually engage people of other nationalities to come and participate in chanting Krishna's holy names. So we became friends. I became thick friends with them. And then I said, would you like to have kirtan? And they had heard of kirtan because kirtan has become synonymous with a lot of nationalities, outside of the Indian thing. Actually, Indians don't participate as much as they participate. That's my observation. Now of course, people are more conscious that during a kirtan you shouldn't go on chanting. You should basically focus your mind on Krishna's holy names. So I said, would you like to have a kirtan? And then they were excited, and it was Ramadan time. And during Ramadan, Latika is here. She's Menaka's sister's daughter and my very, very dear friend's daughter. So, what happened was we said, Ramadan, okay, so why don't we have an iftar party in cave, which we will sponsor. So we took prasadam. We took things like, dates, cookies, made by devotees, and we did a beautiful spread of iftar, because iftar is a very big thing in the Muslim world. And then Did Govindra Maharaj was there, so he came and the music troupe came, and then we had his friend who is a billionaire. We had invited him, so they did a TV interview because he owns Orient TV. They came and they did their whole shooting of the entire event. But the best part was there were 200 non-practicing people of different nationalities sitting and chanting Krishna's holy names.
Wow.
So that was like wow for us. So then we started doing monthly programs in the cave, because the idea of chanting Krishna's holy names is, we always say the people who are the beneficiaries are the person who is chanting, the people who are listening, and the community at large. So, and that's exactly what we were trying to do over there. So as long as we were there, like 2020 November onwards, we have been more in India, participating with you all in different programs. So we have not been able to go back and do programs in the cave, but till
With the black dress and the burqa,
Abhaya.
abaya, which we could see only their lips. So I was wondering why they had come. And it's okay to get arrested and go to jail, serve a sentence and then get back to India. But what about the biryani which they serve there in the jail? So I was really in some kind of an anxiety looking at those two ladies, and then they were silent for about 10 minutes or so, and then they started singing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if you come without any inimical feeling, everyone has to get attracted to this Mahamantra.
Absolutely.
And Krishna consciousness always requires proper packaging. So you can preach to almost everyone, but it requires to be packaged and given in a very humble fashion. And we should always remember that giving Krishna consciousness is an activity of compassion. So when you're compassionate, you cannot drive people to take Krishna consciousness. You can only request them, appeal to them, inspire them to take Krishna consciousness.
Very well said, Prabhu. Very well said. So to what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted as a dream and saw it as a dream, reach out to villages and reach out to nationalities, have Krishna consciousness. So I think we have Prabhuji and Mataji as feet on street, reaching out to all the nationalities and in the most difficult of scenarios, and that too in Dubai, and preaching it to sheikhs and also Lebanese people who are very, very strict for their religion. I think a big haribol to them, a big haribol. So I would like to just add something to it, and a very interesting thing. I was sitting with one of my friends and discussing about Gita and Bhagavatam. So he said when we buy a toy or when we buy this microphone and some electronic stuff, we look at the manual, where to switch on, where to switch off, and how to increase the volume, decrease, how to wear it. But when we are born, we don't look at the manual of our life. We forget about it. And what's the manual of our life? Our manual of the life is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So we should always ensure that what Prabhuji said, we should always read it. Make it a habit for us to read in our daily life. At the most give half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour daily, so that it becomes a habit for all of us. So to extend it forward, so Prabhuji, coming back to what I asked earlier, how do you balance your business and enterprise life with your with preaching and reading and devotional service?
Yeah. So basically, yes, I ran a business in Dubai which is still running, and we are also running a business here. But I think the inspiration we can get from Arjuna here. Where did Arjuna get this Bhagavad Gita from? In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? There can't be a crisis situation more than Arjuna himself. So he got the instructions of Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And the advice given by Sri Krishna to Arjuna is Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. So that is at all times, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Think of me and fight. So Krishna never advised that you should stop fighting and go to the forest. He says, think of me and fight. So therefore, whatever business we are doing, we should do that perfectly. I still remember the words of His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, who is no more now, he is back home, back to Godhead. He said that a materialist when he goes to office must be more, a devotee when he goes to office, he should be more efficient than a normal materialist, so that we finish our work within a record time, so that we go home and do our Krishna. Wake up at the same time, because we have to do our Mangalati and we have to do our chanting. So we wake up around 4:30. Aren't we getting a full 6 hours more than other people? So our day expands. And then when Krishna sees you doing your sadhana properly and chanting your rounds properly, he makes your material life easier.
Wow, that's amazing.
And this has been a practical experience. It's not that we pray to Krishna while chanting to try and make our material life successful, but then he facilitates you, he cooperates with you, and he helps you to finish your material duties more efficiently, so that you can practice your spiritual life better. So the day expands where you're able to balance out between spiritual life and material life.
So nobody can say now time may here, right?
Yeah. Yesterday I was speaking at the Adarsh Palm Retreat community. So trying to inspire all of them to spend some time on Krishna consciousness. And I said nobody can say that they don't have time to meet, because I spent 12 hours at the restaurant trying to satisfy our customers.
Well, so yes, before all these sessions, we've been having wonderful prasadam. That's from Elementary. It's a Satwik Restaurant run by Mataji and Prabhuji very successfully, and we really relish your prasadam. So thank you very much. A big round of applause for that wonderful sciences prasadam. And also we've heard that you're planning to expand the restaurant in other parts of Bangalore.
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji?
Yes.
So we have taken a second unit on Sharjapur Atibele Road. So right opposite Prestige City, just bang opposite Prestige City. Because what is happening is we are going absolutely full, and we are having to refuse people in the restaurant over the weekends. So yeah, we've come to that situation now, which is really wonderful. And we have a very small space, it's only 20-seater. So in this place, we are hoping to have something larger, and so that we can accommodate more people to come and experience our, prasadam. So that's.
So why have you named it Satwik? I mean, elementary, yes, we can somehow understand. But why Satwik? What is it that you cook, and why do you call it prasadam?
Okay. So when we came down to India and we were building our home in, sometimes you have to eat out, right? And there was nothing really great. And Satwik is any foods in the mode of goodness. So anybody understands that Sattva is food in the mode of goodness. And when you eat foods in the mode of goodness, like Krishna actually gives us an understanding in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there are verses which give you the different kinds of foods, juicy, wholesome, fatty. He gives an explanation. So that was the concept. And secondly, since we are basically we eat only Satwik foods, so it was important for us to also give that same experience to other people. And it's not just food, even pigeons are vegetarians, like Prabhupada says. But food which is offered to the Lord is always, like when we go to a temple, normally they give us puri and halwa, or chana, which does not have onion, right? Because it is bhog chadake, we have it. So the same concept we follow in elementary. So whatever is cooked, the first lot is actually offered to the Lord as bhoga. So we do a morning bhoga, we do an afternoon bhoga, and we do an evening bhoga. And all the gravies that are made for the day, the first offering goes to the Lord. So this is something that we are trying to ensure that. That's why we have people coming back and telling us, oh, I didn't feel bloated, I didn't feel, many people, because they use a lot of enhancers and they use a lot of soda and stuff of that kind in the food. And we don't basically vegetables. My mother-in-law sometimes tells me, I never see you all in the house, because we do the purchase ourselves, because we're getting the staff to get into the routine of picking the best vegetables and fresh stuff. So the whole concept of Satwik is to taking you out from the mode of passion and ignorance and moving to foods which will help you to spiritually grow.
Oh, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Food can actually take you towards Krishna.
Absolutely.
Wow. So
Absolutely. And prasadam can take you to Krishna. So first it is just the foods, then you start offering. You can't offer a piece of meat to the Lord, right? So you can't offer something like, everything what we consume should be prasadam. It's not like Bhagwan ke bhog ke liye main thoda sa halwa bana ke de deti hu. It doesn't work like that. जो मैं खा रही हूँ, वो मैं भगवान को चढ़ाऊंगी पहले, और फिर मैं खाऊंगी.
Wow.
Correct?
That's a very, very valid point. And another takeaway, that whatever we offer to the Lord, that is bhoga, because Krishna is the enjoyer, and then we partake the prasadam. Thank you, Mataji. That's a wonderful
Just
point.
in addition to that, is that food is supposed to uplift your consciousness. So it's not just offering to the Lord, even while preparing the food, one has to be in a state of consciousness. And typically, if you go to a restaurant, God forbid, you should never visit a kitchen in a restaurant, because the cook will be having a beedi in one hand and a cup of tea on the other hand, and he keeps down the tea and then starts cooking. So that is food that is cooked in very poor consciousness.